You said God as Father. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that's been really interesting and also difficult in my journey, I think you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, because it's difficult for me. When I said it, right? There's something there, but and I'll let you ask your question, but I will say, I think that that's part of the process of healing from both religious trauma and sexual abuse is language. Yeah. And at some points in my journey, that mattered. That was comforting for me.
Yeah.
And there's other points where it sure isn't. And allowing myself to be where I'm at.
Where you are in this experience.
Today. Yeah. To be different than yesterday.
100%.
Yeah. But the reason why I say that is when I said that term, it made me think, your listeners and you yourself, that might not have resonated. I almost wanted to back up. But for me, I know there's been times where it's been helpful, but it's not for everybody.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's so funny. I've been deconstructing for a little over 10 years, right? So we would talk about process, right? I mean, it's been a long process. And during the process, there were times that I couldn't even refer to God as when they would say in church, when I was still attending services, God, your Father. I'm like, what the fuck? Because my natural father used that very language to keep me from asking questions. So by nature, if somebody were to ask, what is one thing about your personality? I'm a very curious person and very inquisitive, always have been. And so I think that was probably why my dad wanted to stifle or control that a little bit, is because probably his worst fear is me doing probably some of the things that I'm doing now, which is questioning everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a very broad mind and I'm open. Mm-hmm. And I've always been that way. And so seeing God as Father when I was going through the very beginning stages of healing my religious trauma was so tough for me because I have such a troubled relationship with my dad. And so I have no concept of a positive relationship with my earthly father. Right. So therefore, it's damn near impossible for me to even imagine a spiritual, of some higher power, male figure, father figure that I cannot see, that I have no context for. Yeah. Yeah. Because all I have is a context of my father cheated on my mom repeatedly. My earthly father and my mother fought incessantly. And so there's just a lot of memories, one of my earliest memories that I talk about in the book is when I was 4 years old and I see my dad standing over my mother and wrestling with her over, dishwashing liquid money. Right. And so for me, I'm like, would God the Father do that to, So my whole life from 4 years on to the point that I got in my deconstruction where I felt like it was safe to refer to God. I mean, I even got it tattooed on my fingers. That was when I knew that I was at a good process. Yeah. It's when I was able to tattoo Abba on my fingers for Heavenly Father. But I tried not to make my dad angry. Mm. And so my whole thing of being in church or in the religion was not to anger God. And performance-based. Yeah. Yeah. And so I guess for me, it's a long way around. But for you, do you hear that as a common thread with the survivors that you've worked with?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's very common for the exact reasons it was hard for you. Yeah. And may still be. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, even when you've come a long way, for me, I've come a long way. Yeah. And I will have moments where, I may be I may be in a church setting, or I may be in a counseling setting where someone's talking about God in such a kind way, but it's still hard to grasp when they use the term father, right? And so there have been seasons for me where I've chosen to see God as a mother figure, and the nurture of a mother, and just the safety that had felt for me.
Wow.
So there's many times in my life where that feels good. But there's other times in my life, especially early on in my healing, where I felt like I need to separate earthly father from God, but it was in a way where God is a perfect father. And that felt good to me. It was like all the things I wanted in an earthly father, I could place on this higher power of God as a heavenly father. And that felt good at the time. But then there became a time where it didn't feel good, and where I wanted, it's just always been about safety. And how do I feel safe in a spiritual relationship?
Yeah. And I think you bring out an interesting point. And like you say, like one day it's this, and then another day it's that.
No one's telling you it's right or wrong.
Right.
That's the difference between religion and God to me. It's my journey. Just like healing is my journey. It's my pace. No one can tell me how to heal. No one can tell me what's right or wrong, because it's my healing journey. Everyone's story is different. Everyone's trauma is different. Everyone's healing journey is different. And at the same time, I believe our relationship with God must be looked at differently too.